I'm originally from Port Angeles, Washington, and I came here via the U.S. Navy. I spent 26 years in the Navy, and we bought a house here on my last station before I retired, and I retired at a time when the housing market was the pits, so we decided to stay. And well, yeah. Anyway, we went on, and I worked odd jobs for a while, and then got a job with LL Bean, worked with them, and retired from LL Bean. And now I'm donating my time to Lewiston and Museum LA. I do a little of everything. My main is I work with collections. I like working in the back room and doing databasing and look at all these cool artifacts they have here. So I kind of relate it back to my hometown in Port Angeles and what I would like to do there, but a lot of the things there have disappeared, so I want to make sure it doesn't disappear here. Yeah. We had 3 mills. They were all wood mills. They were one did newsprint, other did fiberboard, one did pulp for rayon. It was a really nice town, and my dad was my grandmother was originally, well, she was originally from Arizona, but she moved up there and worked in the logging camps as a cook, and my dad worked there, and he helped build one of the local dams that they just tore down, and that kind of hurt. That really, I wanted to stand there and talk with him about things like we're doing here, and I didn't. Unfortunately, the idea didn't come in until after he passed. But so I like history. My favorite thing about Maine is the forests, and they're unique. I mean, I come from Western Washington. We've got forests, and it's just so different because Maine's forest is more open, and you can see down into the forest. Washington State, you can't, because they have underbrush that comes up, and so it just amazes me. Every time I look in, it's just another wow. And buildings like this, I'm like I said, I'm a history person, and I would love to take one of these older buildings and remodel it just for my home, but one that's too much money. But no, I cringe when I see them tearing down a building, and I can't understand why they can't rehab it some way and use it. I'm looking forward to when we move into the Camden Yarns and seeing how they refab that. Like I said, I did my time in the Navy. I flew in the P-3 Orion. And ended up in, I went to California, Japan, Iceland, Portugal, Philippines, all over the place, because I was a flyer, and really enjoyed that. And then we got here. When I retired, my wife and I made a deal. She'd look locally for a job, and I'd look around the country for a job, and whoever got a job first, that's where we'd stay. She got the job first. So I don't mind it at all. It's very much like Washington is, and I don't mind it at all. Plus my daughter's here, so it's kind of anchored here now. I retired from Brunswick. I was there for 6 years. Oh, that naval base, yeah, it was great. It had a lot of, it had history to it too, and I'm only finding some of it now, because there were areas that I couldn't, even me as a military person, couldn't get into. But no, I worked at the what we call Wing 5, which was the operations center, and the chief petty officer. I mainly worked with the anti-submarine warfare operators, analyzing sounds from the ocean looking for submarines. And it was a very challenging and fun job. Once I became a chief petty officer, the fraternity that brings with it was outstanding even to this day. And this area's got a lot of chiefs and Navy people and stuff I run into all the time. So, and yeah, it's sad. For a while, or up until recently, I worked with the Mid-Coast Veterans Council and helped with in their offices and other things. And it was always sad to drive down the main drag there and see things disappear, housing disappear, buildings disappear. Just a change that's, like I said, every time you went in, it was sad that it was all disappearing. Yeah. So, but I'm grateful that they're hanging on to the two airplanes, the P3 and the P2, and I go down there and it brings back a lot of memories of flying and so forth. So, no, I'm glad when they first started talking about closing it, there was rumors that they were going to close up the airstrip, and I just, no, don't do that. Even though it's becoming civilianized, it's still military. It'll always be Naval Air Station, Brunswick. We had a guy, one of the enlisted guys, and he wore glasses and, he had kind of a large nose, you might say. And I don't know if you can remember back to the World War II, they used to have graffiti on the wall with Kilroy. Well, we made up one that more represented him, and one of our flight engineers, I don't know how he did it. I don't know the measurement of the tail section of a P3, but this guy put it, I don't know how he did it with grease pencil, because he didn't want to damage the aircraft, but he drew that on the tail of the airplane, and that was just, we laughed for years on that one. But yeah, I had a lot of fun. There's a lot of things like that. We had Japan, and a lot of snow up there, and they had little houses for the officers. Some people got really smart and rolled up a great big snowball to the size of the door, rolled it into there. The guy had to crawl out the back because it was the only door. But we had fun. I had a lot of fun there. And like I said, I'd do it in a heartbeat again. Technically served in Vietnam. I do have the combat ribbon, but I was on a carrier, so it's, I spent maybe 2 days feet on the ground waiting for transport out to the carrier. Other than that, I really haven't been involved in any war. Really haven't. When I was in boot camp, they gave us 40 rounds to hit the target. And on my 40th round, I finally hit the frame of the target. So that was the main reason I wanted to stay out of the Army. But yeah, I was mainly to dodge the draft. And I'm fine with that. I mean, everybody has their place in the military, and I found mine. Experiences that I remember from the Navy particularly was one flight with, we were on patrol looking for the boat lift Vietnamese civilians escaping Vietnam after the fall. And our patrol, we the mission started with us running into some Indian warships. And the eerie part about that is they used our airplane for their gunnery sighting. So as we're flying by, these guns trained on us and they're moving as we move. But after that happened to us, our radar picked up some boat people, and we the Indian warships wouldn't go after them or go rescue them, but we found a freighter that would and brought them over there. And there was 2 sampans or boats with refugees in it. Well, one with refugees, and we later found out after the refugees got on the cargo ship that the one following them was a pirate, and they were after the people. And it really made us feel good that we were there to protect that, that them from that. And we went back, and it's funny now. We never carried weapons. At the time, we were at peace with everybody. But we were so mad at these pirates that we flew over them and did a bombing run on them just to scare them. And we decided to do another bombing run, and we threw our box lunches at them as we went over. They probably would never reach their decks, but it was kind of fun. And the other time that I really enjoyed flying was, I don't know what hurricane it was. I want to say Andrew, but we flew supplies down to one of the hurricanes, like they're doing with Irma now, and it made me proud. We're trained for war, but we're out there. I've done search and rescue for boats in Maine, coordinated that from the base there, and we've stepped in when the Coast Guard was overwhelmed and brought our people in, and those are the things that make me feel good. When I was on ship, we'd pull into a port, and there would always be a working party to go out into the community, wherever we ported, and we would be doing something to help the community. I know one time in Japan, I went out, and our task was to go to a girls' school, and apparently they had a bunch of bamboo, and our task was that this whole hill of bamboo, we were to cut it all down, which is not a big thing when you think of it, but then if you were at the top of it after we got done cutting it, it was like having bungee sticks. So you really didn't want to fall after we got done, but no, and we came out and played with the kids after we got done with that. So it was as much as there are a lot of things that that are a pain a pain to do in the military. Those are the things that made me feel proud of what I was doing. So because after I did my tour, I got out for a year, started college, and it just in my area things the economy was how do I want to say it? The only jobs available were pushing plywood in one of the plywood factories, or setting choke out in the woods, and I just didn't want to do this. So I went back in the Navy and didn't regret it from that day on.